Well, we're changing things up a little bit this week, starting Monday and Tuesday with a pair of mailbag episodes.
We have to do the mailbags because you guys keep emailing us, which we love, but we got to get them out. So that's what we're going to do. And this time we're going to find out the difference between Fan A and Fan B starting right now.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And we're the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your very first listen every day. Be sure to check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Locked On Rays. You can also find us on the social medias X and Instagram at Locked On Rays, and email us anytime. Voice memos preferred, lockedonrays@gmail.com. Before we get into some of the mailbag questions on today's episode, just a quick briefing on the MLB playoffs that are currently afoot, the ALCS and the NLCS going deep. Both series could go 7 games, quite frankly. So it's brought some level excitement to the game, and I think we've discussed this over the past couple of weeks. I found myself, anyway, a little bit more invested in the playoffs this time around, maybe because I'm less interested in what's going on in the NFL. Normally, I'm rooting for my Indianapolis Colts, but they are extremely mediocre this season and will continue to be mediocre with Anthony Richardson out for the season. And we have no Brady mania, no Tom Brady mania in Tampa Bay anymore. It's Baker Mayfield and basically mediocrity. Again, 500 ball for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I found myself bobbing and weaving, veering more towards the MLB playoffs. And there's been some exciting games, some exciting moments as well, between the Rangers and the Astros and the Phillies and the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, no, I think when you get eliminated so quickly, there is kind of 2 ways you can go about it. Either you completely say, goodbye, baseball, I'll see you in February. Or the other way is like, I wanted more baseball. I didn't know that I needed it. I'm not ready to say goodbye. And that's exactly, I think, what would happen to both of us is it's the latter. So I think there's been really good games. Now, the way that we're recording this Monday episode at 10 p.m., the game's in the bottom of the 7th inning. The Rangers are leading 3-2. So it could go to game 7 if it holds. But if the Astros pull this off at home, which they've been terrible in, we might just have ourselves already a World Series participant by the time that this episode goes live.
It is possible. So as of right now, the Astros lead the series against the Rangers 3-2, and the Phillies lead the Diamondbacks 3-2. Is that ultimately who you think advances as of this moment? Phillies v. Astros, Astros v. Phillies?
I unfortunately think that what I said that I thought was going to happen is going to happen. Yeah. I think the Astros are going to beat the Rangers, and the Phillies are just a machine. It's really quite amazing what they have done with that lineup. I mean, Real Muto, Harper, Castellanos, Schwarber, Trey Turner. Like that's a video game lineup right there, and they don't stop. And it makes you wonder, what makes a playoff team good? What
stars, payroll, experience,
all of those things,
veteran and yet, leaders. I think a combination of everything like that. But we've certainly seen our set of offense over these series. I mean, we're seeing 8 runs scored, 10 runs scored, 6 runs scored, home runs galore. There's been a lot of action from that standpoint.
But those things, could we not say that the Dodgers had playoff experience, that they had payroll, that they had, I'm like, it's so funny how the playoffs really just are really odd. They're a really odd thing. I think there is a formula. I think somebody is going to crack it. There has to be something. because I refuse to believe of the whole crapshoot thing when the Astros just keep defying that. I mean, it's like, what are they? It's really remarkable what the Astros organization has been doing for the last 7 years. Like, it really is. Like, cheating scandal or not, like, they were already the best one in 2017. Like, come on, guys. If we're going to say, oh, the Astros didn't deserve it, what, the Yankees did? The Yankees did? Come on, what are we doing here? No. So it's tough, man. It's really fun, though. I'm really looking forward to seeing how the World Series is going to develop, and then going to be really sad that there's not going to be MLB baseball for 4 months.
Yes, that's the sad part for sure. And I'll just kind of give a little shout out to John Romano with the Tampa Bay Times. He wrote an article on this as to why you shouldn't be surprised that some of these bigwig teams are still in the hunt and still have a chance to make it to the World Series and win the World Series. The low revenue teams can't get over that final hump. Over the years, we've seen the Rays, the Brewers, the Guardians, the Twins, the Athletics. They've gotten close, but I mean, just look at the World Series winners over the last several years, and I think it goes back to those 3-4 bullet points: stars, experience, payroll, combination of all of that. I mean, think about how much money guaranteed that the Phillies have wrapped up in Castellanos, Realmuto, Schwarber, Trey Turner, Bryce Harper. That's like $1 billion almost.
Yeah.
In those handful of dudes.
Yeah.
So,
but Mookie, Freeman, like, it's like, but what?
Okay, not every big payroll team's gonna make it to the World Series, but they're gonna one of those a team with a largesse payroll will win the thing or get to the thing.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, honestly, I think the team that has been in the lower spectrum of payroll of the last 10 years of winning the World Series, they came out with an article a few weeks ago. I think it was the 2015 Kansas City Royals, but the Kansas City Royals in that year were, I think, 110 million, something the Rays have never touched. They could touch it.
Well, I'll just run it back, if you will. 2022 Astros, 2021 Braves, 2020 Dodgers, 2019 Nationals, 2018 Red Sox, 2017 Astros, 2016 Cubs, and then you go to the Royals in 2050.
Yeah, so it's the Royals.
Pretty big markets with big payrolls.
Yeah, and the Royals, they did spend 110, 115, I think, that year. So it's definitely a factor. It's most definitely a factor. And you know what? The Rays could be 110, 120 mil if all the pieces that are right now, they stay within the team. But we know that there's going to be some traits. There's some Tyler Glasnow conversations that I can't believe that we're about to have.
Yeah, we might have to get into that later on this week. I would also say that I would take the under on the Rays having a payroll of $100 million or more. I just do not see that happening anytime soon, frankly.
That's a good one. Let's talk about it in a future episode.
So, all right, we will get to these mailbag questions, but first, Ulises, we have to tell the audience something very important.
That is true. And the fact is that sometimes you're just so frustrated because you're like, okay, I need to go out. I need to do something, but that something is tonight. What do I do? Well, guess what? Gametime is there for you. Gametime is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All the prices are shown total upfront, so you know that you're getting a great deal without hitting fees. And guess what? You buy the tickets in 2 seconds. I bought mine for the playoffs using this app, and it was an awesome experience. And you should use Gametime too. So today, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB. That's LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
All right. This first mailbag question from, is it Mia or Maya? I'm so bad at this.
Mia
Franz. And it's a long one, so bear with us, but makes some really strong points here. She says, the annual insomniac diary of a Rays fan at the end of the postseason. I woke up at 2 and I couldn't get back to sleep. I was at the game, y'all. I took the afternoon off, one of the few, and bought tickets for the family and got to the Trop in the middle of the afternoon. And it was easily one of the worst experiences we had at a Rays game, which sucks. Am I frustrated? Yes. And a little mad? Yes, but mostly I'm sad. It wasn't just the game, which, as we all know, was terrible. The Rays played mostly like they had never really played a full game of baseball before. The boys and I were joking somewhat bitterly that we really showed up to see Yandy Diaz and Isaac Paredes and Curtis Mead. He made the error, but also the only hit after we left versus the Texas Rangers. And man, the Rangers won. But it's never a good sign when the fans start booing their own team halfway through. And when a day or two later, all Rays coverage in the Tampa Bay Times also seemed to go silent, replaced quickly by the Lightning in football, it definitely felt like the Rays went out with a whimper and not with a bang. You know what makes me wonder? Whether in these big stage moments, all that crap gets into their heads about whether they really deserve to be there. I mean, the MLB as an organization would probably agree no. They were still writing positive Yankee headlines into September. Of course, there will be endless postmortems and blame slinging, and as good of a manager as Cash is, I'm not sure his job will be safe if they keep choking in the first round of the playoffs every year. I started this message last Thursday and may as well send it along. I know you guys will get it. Thanks as always for all that you do.
Wow. Mia, as always, a wordsmith. So thank you, Mia, for sending us that. That was, by the way, for those who want to know, that was sent to us on Monday, October 9th. So that was 13 days ago. And the wound of being eliminated that quickly is healing little by little, piece by piece, but it's still there. And I think a lot of what Mia said there is it still rings true to all of us. I mean, we didn't see anything in those two games that could give you like some sort of smile. I'm happy Mead was able to come through. That was awesome in that moment with an RBI single. I mean, that's fantastic. But then again, then you're like, oh man, but he also made an error. So Randy Rosarena, okay, he got a few hits. That's awesome, but didn't really create a spark. Didn't really create the big moment. So really, what are you left with from these two games as a fan? I don't know if you can really have like one huge positive.
Not really. No, outside of the fact that it's not like the Rangers went down and limped facing the Orioles. Like they've established themselves as a force over the course of these playoffs. So that's, a small sliver of a silver lining. And Mia pointed out, deserving to be there and that internal thought and belief. That's a good point because you have to wonder, again, we've talked about this previously. You're without Wander. You're without Shane. You're without Brandon Lau. Injuries piling up. There's a lot of others I haven't even mentioned in that list. And so many young players, so many rookies being forced into that environment, even if it is at home. But it's still the playoffs. It's still something that they're not probably used to, that pressure cooker, that high pressure moment and environment, which I hearken back to the first segment of. That's where teams will spend the type of money that it takes to land a Trey Turner and a Bryce Harper and other guys of that ilk. So just wanted to throw that out for some thought. As far as Kevin Cash goes, I think he's going to be the Rays manager for a long time. and he'll probably be the Rays manager when they open up a new stadium in 2028. That's just my personal opinion and belief.
There are two ways where that doesn't happen, Kevin. Number one, there's another team that after this 2024 year, which I think is his last contract year.
Correct.
And if they don't get anything done, if he gets to hear something from his agent saying, hey, bro, we got opportunities to make real money here. Every man has their dollar amount. Every single man, and by man, I mean man and woman, whatever. Everybody has a dollar sign that they're willing to do things that they didn't think that they would do. And that could be, hey, you know what? I'm moving from my hometown. I'm uprooting my family because they're paying me a lot of money. So that's number one. Number two is something in the clubhouse happens that is not okay. There was a fight. There are continued fights. He starts to lose the clubhouse. Bada bing, bada boom, yada, yada, yada. That's the second scenario. Now, out of those two, I don't think they're going to happen because it seems like he can really control a clubhouse. And number two, I think the Rays are going to want to avoid him hearing dollar amounts from other clubs or from his agents, whispering things in his ear by getting something done before that contract expires.
Well, Eric Gander said it. I don't think he was lying about it. He thought this was the best job that Kevin Cash had ever done. And I know that we had focused more on probably talking about the regular season than the postseason, and just all the punches that he and the organization had to take with the news, the adversity, and just crazy storylines that probably made the 6 month 162 game season feel like 11 months and 250 games by all that occurred and affected the organization, because it definitely was a whirlwind. If he didn't lose the clubhouse in this season, I don't know if he's ever going to lose the clubhouse unless again, his messaging just gets stale, which I kind of find that a little bit hard to believe because the Rays keep rotating players in and out and in and out and in and out. So the new guys, the young guys are hearing it for the first, second, third time rather than the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth time generally. So,
I like that theory, but I feel like maybe I mean everybody's different. Joe Madden was different, you know.
Yeah,
but
and I don't. And Kevin Cash isn't like forcing guys to dress up in goofy outfits and do these quirky things. To me, he comes across as a just like open dude that's kind of one of the guys, more or less. Where Joe Madden had that quirky streak to him that probably could have worn thin after a while, where Kevin Cash is he's not that far removed from playing professional baseball, and he's just, he gets it.
Well, and especially for the veterans, Zobrist, Longoria, like they were like, okay, we've been through this a long time ago. I think so. Kevin Cash's messaging might be might have a longer expiration date than Joe Madden's for sure. I still believe every manager has their day, and I don't care if it's 5, 10, 15, 20, that there will come a time where Kevin Cash's messaging is not going to resonate with players. And so the question is, when is that going to happen? Is it before the stadium opens? I don't think so. I think he's a young guy. I think he's shown this year that he can handle adversity very well, and that players trust him. So I think that we're going to see Kevin Cash no matter how many times. If I will say this, if the Rays go to the playoffs in 24, 25, 26, and 27, the next 4 years before they open the new park, and they quote unquote choke in the playoffs in every single first round, he will still be the manager.
That's fair. And sometimes the grass isn't always greener. Sometimes it is. Andrew Friedman can attest to that. Sometimes it isn't. Chaim Bloom can attest to that. So I think, whatever the dollar figure that comes across from another organization, because I'm sure he will have his pick of the litter of where he'd want to go, he's definitely going to have to think long and hard about whether or not it's the best decision, because it would just have to be a stupid amount of money, I think, for him to exit Tampa Bay, again, like you mentioned, where he was born and raised, and he has a young family too, that has, those are considerable factors. Whereas other guys, maybe more in their mid 50s, early 60s, their kids are grown. Like, I don't know the exact ages of Cash's kids, but I think they're middle school, grade school age. So that's something that has to be focused on and looked at as well. So, all right, we have another question to get to, but first we have to tell you this. October baseball is back, and you can make your postseason debut with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Join FanDuel today, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn, LOCKEDON, to create your new account. Then you can get in on the action from the first pitch until the very final out. Bet on everything from strikeouts to home runs to who will win the game. And if you don't want to wait the whole game to get a W, predict what will happen in the next at bat with a really cool feature called Quick Bets. So head on over to FanDuel.com/LockedOn, LOCKEDON, right this moment. Step up to the plate this season with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Make every moment more with FanDuel. They are the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. All right, this next question, we had Mia's perspective. Now we'll get to David's perspective. Says, Kevin and Ulises, I've generally enjoyed your Locked On Rays podcast this season. Generally enjoyed. Okay. For me, the last several episodes after the Rangers' losses have been disappointing in the scale of your attacks on the players, the coaches, the decisions, and the organization. I certainly understand the frustration, but it gets old quickly hearing you guys rant and rave about how bad they all are. Find the bright spots, and focus on them more. In the end, the only people listening to you are Rays fans. We don't want to hear a continual bash on them episode after episode. Time to look forward and move on. Just my 2 cents. Thank you for a great season of insight.
And thank you for writing to us, Dave. I'm glad that we have, hopefully still are part of your rotation on podcasts. You wrote this to us on October 10th, 12 days ago. And
it's been a little bit, we've had to, we're kind of like, we're not doing express shipping right now. We're taking a little bit longer. I think that, we got some wrong addresses, some mix up, typical U.S. Postal Service. So it's been a while for these deliveries to be read on air.
And also the fact is, when you have a lot of people chiming in, like you do want to do a first come, first serve situation. Right. But David, thank you so much for writing to us. And I so you guys all know, we specifically put Mia's email and perspective in the same episode as David to emphasize something, which is you can be a fan however you want to be. You can be you I understand David's point that he wants to hear more about the positives, but David, like, we're not also going to just put on rose-colored glasses and say that everything is fine. I mean, for me personally, those 4 looming questions about how the playoffs were played and how Kevin Cash made mistakes, I am not just going to not say that. And bash players, if there's been a time, if anybody can find a time where we've bashed a player without offering numbers, without offering statistics, without offering anecdotes of how they've played in the game, let us know.
I think it's strong words to say bash and attack. Personally, I feel like, I don't know. I mean, I guess you can use whatever phrase or adjective or verb, whatever you want to use, but I think that's a little bit strong. I'll say this: Rays officials themselves had said this is the most disappointing exit, a highly disappointing season. That's from the horse's mouth. That's from Eric Neander, Peter Bendix, Kevin Cash. That's from the people that were sitting on the podium in the end of season press conference. We don't want to be here. This is our 5th year of making the playoffs in a row, And year after year after year, recently, we've had the early exit. We can win 99 games, we can win 100 games, but it's just not elevating or showing itself in the postseason. And let's just talk straight facts here. Mia mentioned it. Scored 1 run. That was over 2 games, by the way. 2 extra base hits over the course of 2 games. 18 strikeouts. And that's not just this year. Let's go back to last year. Scoring just 1 run over 24 innings against the Guardians. And then you combine that with facing the Rangers and the ineffectiveness of Tyler Glasnow and Zach Eflin and the sloppy play in the field, error after error after error, misplay and misplays. And the Rays have now lost 7 postseason games in a row over multiple seasons. So I think that we are just trying to hold this organization to a higher and greater standard of, look, what they're doing in the regular season, amazing. It's fantastic. And I will qualify. I try to understand, but not make excuse for the amount of injuries and inactive players that they have entering the postseason. But at some point, you have to continue to elevate and raise your expectations and say, we don't just want to be wild card wonders. We want to win our division. We want to win the champion. We want to contend for a World Series title. We want to win a World Series title. We want to be one of the we want to get over that hump eventually.
Yeah, because like you can't just be happy with getting into the playoffs. Like that's for the 2008 fan. That's for the 2010 fan. That's for the 2013 fan. Enough. It's great, but we have to keep holding ourselves as a fandom to a standard. And again, like you said it, that's also by the people in the podium that they are saying that. So I want everybody here on YouTube to help us and to help David. Write in the comments, what have you found positive from the playoffs? I want to see if maybe we have a blind side. Like that's why I like this constructive criticism, and we will always show these constructive feedback. We are not going to shy away from that. We also don't hang up on radio callers because we don't like what they're saying. We don't do that. We will show it. So please, YouTube commenters, let's try to help David out and us. What can you find positive from these playoffs? Maybe you're like, dude, nothing. Why are you asking this? Maybe that's your answer.
And maybe it's one of those things of, hey, the fact that we just got to the playoffs after everything that happened, I'm satisfied. I'm content with that. And that's your perspective. And you can and we will respect that. Yeah. But at some point we have to say, just like, whatever Brandon Lau does in the regular season, becomes an all-star, hits 39 home runs, drives 99 in, one of the best power hitting second baseman in baseball when healthy. But at some point it's like, when are you going to showcase it in the postseason? When are you going to showcase it in the playoffs? Like, are we just going to continue to have this time and time and time again where we know what he's going to do for over the course of the months of April to October, but in October, is he going to be able to deliver? And that's how I feel about the Rays right now, is if, when, and can they deliver, aside from what happened in 2020.
Kevin, 2 runs in 4 playoff games in back-to-back years. By the way, 2 runs, that's in 42 innings. 42 innings.
Yeah.
If this was the regular season, David and everybody else, when your team goes 42 innings straight, scoring 2 runs, Rich Hollenberg and Matt Joyce and Denard Span and Doug Wichter are going to be talking about it.
Yeah.
A BA and Dwayne Stats, they're going to be talking about it. Neil Solondz, now because he's a radio play-by-play guy, now he would be talking about it with Andy Fried. Like, it's not okay at any point in the season, but when you do it in the playoffs, you have to talk about it. I'm sorry. You have to talk about it.
And maybe it'd be a little bit different this year if it was, hey, we're going up against a healthy Jacob deGrom and a healthy Max Scherzer. And no disrespect to Montgomery and Eovaldi because they are really, really, really good. But when you're facing like basically two Hall of Famers, like there is a difference. There is a drop off there where it's like, man, if you score one run against Jacob deGrom, I guess you might be doing something right. So just wanted to throw that and add that in as well. But yeah, so it was good to hear the perspectives there. And we have more mailbag questions on Tuesday's episode as well. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you tomorrow.